what I'd really love to hear about is your philosophy or your view of coaching with this understanding.
First of all, I go beyond grounding because I think, grounding is just your understanding of the principles, what you know today. And that's important because it's a nice home base to have and sit in while you're coaching because, as you get a little away from it and, maybe what you're coaching gets a little lost, you've got a place to come back to, I always call it like, well, what's my point, And once I ask myself, what's my point, I go back to grounding. So grounding's valuable there. But I really think the power in coaching is your ability to listen. And I mean, more broadly than just listen to words, but, really get into a conscious space where, you can really find the human connection with that individual or group and let the intelligence you're a part of, mind, guide you. So I think that's the empowerment piece of any coaching session is getting comfortable with letting yourself be guided by the wisdom you're already connected to. And when you are connected in a coaching session, the intelligence will guide you for that session. It'll give you stuff really for that session. So that's really what I help people the most about in coaching, in mentoring in their coaching practices. Of course, there's other details about, how to go about sharing it and teaching, and there are obstacles to avoid that I talk about and how to see them and adjust to them. But I think the main thing is getting into the feeling of your understanding with someone and then listening. And I really see that if you improve your listening just a little bit, it's better than improving your teaching by quite a bit. So, I think that's probably, I don't know about a philosophy. I think the philosophy is that there's always one point to this coaching with the principles, and that is to point people toward where their experience really comes from. I think that's really the point. But the work is getting to a place where you can share that, where it has some impact and influence,
Well, listening is the fundamental, listening for where people are at, listening for what is realized from a deeper truth, listening for what's getting in the way of that, knowing that whoever I'm talking with has the answers within themselves, and that in a shared space, those answers can be revealed. And that's, I have no doubt that everyone has the wisdom they need, the inner guidance that they need, and that my job as a coach, so to speak, is to help create the space for that person to realize that, to listen to any inner guidance that might come to me about helping that. But it's really pointing to and drawing out without any doubt that what I'm pointing to and what I'm looking to draw out is already there. And so it's I don't know what's going to happen in any session. I don't know what will come out of it. I just know what the source is, the truth that we're all looking for. And that source or that truth comes wrapped in a package of wisdom that each of us needs for whatever it is we're trying to accomplish. And if I can help with that, great.
Interesting question. I think we're on the cusp of and developing a completely new profession or a completely new way of communicating something important. So it's not a typical coaching, it's not a typical therapy or it's not a typical anything. It's a new communication about life that the principles kind of command that. Through the years, we've had to try to plug it in to pre-existing formats or ideas, but it's always kind of busted out of that limitation. This is a new level of communication that goes to all kinds of different avenues and professions, into teaching, into classroom, into the medical practice, into the way we all function, because it's so universal and so deep. It has application and meaning to literally everybody. And we've never had anything of that sort. We're breaking out of prior limitations, and as you all know, and as you all will undoubtedly continue to see, hopefully, that it breaks down pre-existing ideas of what you think you know, and we go beyond. So that's my philosophy. I don't know if that's a philosophy, kind of like a direction. There's new ways of talking and being together that we are just all students of.
Well, here's something that's really the first thing that I see. And when I'm mentoring people to do coaching, this is the first thing I want, hopefully, help people understand. When you use the word change agent, or mentoring, or whatever word you want to use, it's kind of subtle because it's kind of like, well, I'm going to help change this person. People usually want to be coached to be more successful, make more money, have more happiness, those kinds of things. And it's really subtle because actually when I'm working with people, I'm not actually trying to help them have a better life. I'm really not trying to help them make more money or be more happy or have better relationships. See, it's really subtle. I'm not there for that. I'm only there to point people to what I would call the blueprint that's behind life itself. And then from that, people will then, from their own, what I would call God-given wisdom, will then wake up and then realize what's important to them, and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not here to change people, and I'm not here to help people be better. Because first of all, right now the fact is people have all their answers already. It's inside them right now. But innocently, we don't understand why we get thrown by things, or why we're not close to our wisdom, or why we end up struggling or working hard. We innocently just don't know why that happens. So my job, if you could call me having a job, is to point people in that direction. And yes, I'll start with where they are. I want to have a better relationship, so we'll start there. But then eventually I want them to understand where their experience of the relationship comes from. And, once they catch on to that, then eventually they're going to realize their own answers about why things aren't working out, or why they are working out, or whatever that is. So that's what I see as, quote, coaching or helping, meaning it's the opposite of what the word implies. And the other thing about that is you're not attached. See, I have nothing on it. And because I have nothing on it, it frees me up to be 100% present with another human being, so that hopefully we're operating wisdom to wisdom, spirit to spirit, whatever you want to call that. I'm engaging them at a deeper level. I have a set of eyes on a deeper part of that person. And so that's how I see it.
When I first hear that question, my answer is, well, I don't know that I have a philosophy, but then I guess there are some things in the background that guide my work. I guess the first thing that comes to mind is no rules. So in my old days of kind of pre-principles work, when it came to coaching specifically, I had lots of rules. I'd learned that there were lots of rules around engagement with coaching, and there were things I would censor and things that I would be looking out for and making sure I was doing that and not doing that. And now I have a real sense of no rules. You know, everything's up for grabs, and I don't censor myself, or, well, to a degree I do. I don't go out of my way to be inappropriate, although, you know, the sweary coach, yeah, should become my new tagline. So no rules, just really giving myself permission to just do whatever makes sense in the moment, you know, in relation to being of service to my clients, to whoever's in front of me. So, is there anything else? What's my philosophy? I guess the other thing is having clarity and really being clear about what my job is, I think is part of the overarching guide for my work. So I really know that it's not my job to get people into a particular state of mind, or it's not my job to fix their problems, or it's not. I'm just keep coming back to what is my job, and that helps a lot, and it takes a lot off my mind that might otherwise be in the way. Yeah.
When you come back to what is my job, what's the answer you get to that?
To guide people to their common sense, to help connect people with their common sense in the moment, and to guide people in a direction in their thinking that I think will best serve them in the moment, and to do the best job I can to help people understand a bit more about what's really going on in terms of their mental life, their psychological life, their experience of life.
Number one is you get the feeling yourself in your life, and you just nurture that beautiful feeling, and you just keep going deeper yourself. That's number one for everything. That's why our marriage changes, because I just took care of my happiness instead of worrying about, you know, everybody else. I just took care of my happiness, and so that's number one. But the next part, I've got to share that it went to a whole deeper level yesterday, because I was sharing with Chip about somebody that I've been informally helping, you know, and a friend of ours, and who was struggling in the workplace. And because it was somebody who's a friend, I got caught up in saying things that I wouldn't say to my clients, you know. And Chip picked up on it, because I said, well, you know, if we see them later and we're talking, they're really struggling at work. And I just wanted to give you the background so that if they happen to ask you about it, then you could help too. And so innocently, I start telling Chip, and he said, wow, he said, you know, he said, I wouldn't have said that much to her, you know, about work, because he said, you're like, I was saying things like, well, you know, if you're struggling with that person at work, then I think maybe what's going on is they feel threatened by you, and, you know, maybe. So I was just kind of in the details, because it was somebody close to me, right? So Chip was saying, you know, he'd be happy to talk to our friend. He said, but, you know, he said, you don't really know what is going on at that workplace. You're still hearing it from her impression, no matter how valid all her points are about what's going on. I said, yeah, but you know, this person's actually been like really like rude to her in front of, you know, other people, and he said it doesn't matter. He says that's still her version that she's telling you of what's going on there. And it was so amazing because I realized that I wasn't practicing what I preach, right? And because with my clients, but it actually gave me an even firmer conviction that the way I help a client is to really stay out of the details, although I patiently, and with love, listen to the details that are important to them to provide to me. But more and more I'm seeing that I have to trust in their wisdom that they have to deal with specific parts of their life, and that my job is to help them access that wisdom inside themselves. So that was quite an amazing thing to happen to me yesterday, because I really thought I had it figured out, right? And I, at first I was saying to Chip, I kind of had to do it this way, but I knew that he was seeing the truth of it, and so I had to let go of my wanting to be right and just really listen to Chip without agenda and see what he was trying to tell me, because it was right on.
My philosophy in talking to anybody is that the state of mind and the thinking they're in when I encounter them is none of my business. It's absolutely none of my business. Because I'm interested in the truest part of me talking to the truest part of them, and I have faith that when that part of them, that true self, awakens even in a glimmer, that they'll have a profound understanding of where their thinking has been and where their life has been. So that's it in a nutshell for me. That's the way I see it anyway. And I'm not talking about not listening to people when they tell you what they're going through and not having compassion. I'm talking about not feeling that I have to have any feelings about it or any responsibility for changing it. I have faith that there's something in them that will take care of that, and my job is to help us move in that direction.
Yeah, I'm quiet because I'm just wanting to sit with that. It's a long time since I was a content guy, but I still can't hear that enough.
Yeah, me too, Jamie, to be honest, me too. Yeah, we're so used to thinking we have to have something to work with. And it's true, but it's not what you think. And what we have to work with is the profound wisdom that's in every single soul we encounter. That's what we have to work with.